So, okay, at the top of the show, I'm still one of those people that is like just praying it's not Jey Uso. Okay. So even though it was Logan Paul, I was just happy that it wasn't Jey Uso. Okay. Because I don't need to see 10-minute yeeting every single week. I don't need it. So Logan Paul he claims to be full time. I still don't see it, but that's fine. He comes out, he talks some trash, the same old stuff. CM Punk comes out and interrupts him, and they go back and forth. And it ends with Logan sucker slapping, I would say. Sucker slapping. But he slapped him pretty hard, and Punk bit his tongue.
It was like,
yeah, Punk bit his tongue. So it's serious, right? But before getting into what they might be teasing between them, I noticed that a lot of people are getting a little bit over Logan Paul. And I thought that was interesting because most people who have been watching, WWE since Logan came in and shocked the entire world, I would say, with just how naturally athletic and good he is in the ring. People have always credited him for being a natural heel and able to just like draw that negative reaction out of the fans. But I from what I was seeing online, and this is just online, obviously I'm not in person every week, so I can't speak for every fan, but I was seeing a lot more criticism of like the lack of character work from him, that he's just leaning very much in on the like stereotypical low hanging fruit, like easy heat, and that there's not just any growth from him. We're just really going in of like, I'm Logan Paul, you guys hate me, so I'm just going to say things that you're going to not like. And I feel like there is kind of legs to that argument, because I think that, we were just talking about this like the last 2 weeks about the entertainment value of professional wrestling, and people get very invested in characters and storyline development. And Logan hasn't really been doing that. We're just seeing like the same things. He keeps saying the same things to different people. And I think people are getting kind of tired of it. It's like, it's fine if Logan's going to be the bad guy and he's going to have this, like, I don't know, I would almost compare it to like 90s villain, 90s bully vibe to him. However, you also need to do something different, and you can't, like, to me, it felt like he lost a boxing match to CM Punk. Like, even if he got the best of him at the end, it's like you can't pull the kind of like expected talking points against a guy like CM Punk. People are going to notice your weaknesses immediately, and it feels like maybe that's why it was being so discussed online.
Well, because Dickie just brings up exactly what I'm going to say. Like, he isn't a character because he's a celebrity. He is someone that is a public figure. He is a controversial figure that, is polarizing. And because of that, you have people that absolutely hate him and despise him and want nothing to do with him in WWE. But then you have Logan Paul followers. The way WWE sees that is that those Logan Paul followers are going to watch the show. They're going to be fans. So they're looking at it from that business standpoint, and that's great. But from what we're talking about, he still does a good job, and it isn't awful that I don't want him on my screen. It just would be nice to see a little bit more from him. The issue is that the crowd hates him so much that they just want to boo him. And he hasn't learned to steer into that and just go with it like Dom did.
And it's fine. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think that what he's doing is like necessarily bad or wrong. I just think that I don't know that he's established enough in wrestling to not have too much of a character. And I'm not saying that he has to go and be like the Undertaker. It's like, obviously we know that's not realistic because that's like full-blown gimmick. But I do think that he needs to turn it up more, because I feel like there needs to be a little bit more of a distinction between Logan Paul the wrestler and Logan Paul the like normal dude, you know?
Mhm.
Like we need to have a little bit more of that, because otherwise we are just going to get bored of it. It's not
Yeah.
going to matter at the end of the day that he puts on some good matches or he does some cool moves. It's like if people are only going to boo you simply because of who you are from what you've done outside of wrestling, then why are you here? Like, do you
Do you think he
know?
needs someone
I don't.
to bounce off? Like right now, he is in that weird lull period because it is a 6-man match. The Elimination Chamber. There's no one to bounce off and develop a character as much. Where if he was going up against CM Punk or John Cena or even Seth Rollins, there would be an avenue for him to go where he can do more with the character development. But
Mhm.
because he is who he is and the match is what it is, there's no real time to do that. So you're just going to have to make with what you got.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I think the biggest thing, first of all, is that he needs to be a consistent person on TV, you know? And we
That's
also
the
need to see
issue.
him wrestling on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, I guess he's on Raw, but I think we need to see
But
him
one of
in
the two, I
in
know.
more matches, and it can't just be because you're gonna get old of hearing him say the same things every single week because that's all he's doing. All he's doing is cutting a promo or going back and forth with somebody. Like, yeah, that's gonna get boring no matter who we're talking about because it's gonna be the same thing every single week. And I think yeah, he could benefit from working with some of these veterans, but at the same time, you already know what he's going to say against a guy like John Cena, against a guy like CM Punk, against a guy like Seth Rollins. And that's not necessarily a great space to be in, especially at this point in his like WWE tenure. If he really wants to be around for a long time, we shouldn't be able to sit here and be like, yeah, you're gonna mention this, you're gonna mention this, you're gonna mention this, and you're gonna mention this. Like, you can hit some of those points, but can you bring a little bit more to it so that it's not so like, okay, we already know, so we're gonna tune out, because why do I need to listen to what you're gonna say if I already know what you're gonna say? If that makes sense.
Correct. It
So
does.
I don't know. I think that the biggest thing is, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even necessarily care because I'm not like a Logan Paul fan. But if you're gonna take time up on the
No.
television show that I watch, I want to be like at least somewhat interested to have a reaction that isn't just like, oh, I'm bored.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
It seems like for the most part, people are uh agreeing, right?
Yeah, for the
Um.
most part.
Okay, I'm just trying to look and see. Um. Oh, heels. Yeah, I see him saying like heels. I think we've kind of talked about this too, that and it's one of my biggest gripes with Triple H is the lack of like legitimate heels in the company. But I do understand the struggle that they have in making legitimate heels simply because of the availability of social media and people meeting them all the time. And um it's hard for people to believe that they are this bad or this evil or
Yeah.
whatever. The way that it used to be. um the mic's picking up your TV, by the way.
I'm gonna go
um
change it.
okay.
I got
um
it.
so I feel like to that extent you can kind of give them a pass, but obviously there are people that are hated in a way that WWE kind of created. Like, we can even look at Dominic Mysterio. They created this massive heat because he went against his dad. And yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of like that annoying little twerp or whatever, and that kind of works. But day to day or week to week, he's not really doing anything to maximize that hate or to get more of it. So
Yeah.
it's
There's
just
no like Dom. Yeah, I didn't.
yes,
I meant to hit this one.
that's yeah,
Drew and Gunther are great heels. Kevin Owens is a great heel. It's
yes,
these guys that they're not evil. That's the big thing that is different from then and now, is that those were evil heels, that they were something out of a story or a movie or something, where these heels now are just they're just humans, but you kind of agree, but you're like, oh, I wouldn't do that. Like it's more
yeah.
morality than just straight up evil. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
well, and I
this,
think
it's a
because you can
sense
relate
of
in
morality,
one way or another.
relatability. Thank you.
Yeah, and I
That's what
think
I'm looking
that's the
for.
thing is like It used to be that they made this guy look like a stereotypical bad guy, whether he was like big and buff or they would make him dark and scary. Like that was the easiest way to get people to just immediately fear you. And that doesn't work anymore because obviously, for the most part, the fans are smarter than believing that this person's a superhero or like a supernatural figure or something like that. And then, yeah, everybody in the company is big and strong. Like, so you can't say like, oh, I'm going to be so terrified of so-and-so because they're so big. It's like, okay, but there are people who are equal or bigger than them. So that doesn't work either.